The body was laying there on the pavement. The face wasn't covered in blood, but it certainly wasn't without any. The sun was setting. This was his last sunset. My last sunset. When I had woken up earlier that day, I had no reason to believe that anything would be different. My alarm buzzed. I turned it off. I brushed my teeth. I showered. I Q-tipped my ears. I dressed. I didn't usually have breakfast, and today would be no exception. I was late and needed to get moving. My friend was waiting for me by the river. He was throwing breadcrumbs in for the ducks. There were no ducks. He did this every day. "You're late," he said. "I know." "How was your night?" he asked. "The usual. You know she's nothing special." "I know," he said. "I was just asking." He continued throwing in the rest of his bread. When he finished, he walked over to where I was sitting. He pulled out 2 envelopes. "This one is for you," he said, "and this one is for Jimmy." I would do it, and so I told him no problem. I walked away, and so my friend went back to throwing his bread into the empty river. I drove around for a little while. I was surprised that I had to deliver anything to Jimmy. In fact, I hadn't spoken to him in years. I wasn't avoiding him, but I was. 2 years ago, I was sure that I'd never have to see him again. That was what I wanted. Sometimes, though, business comes first. I got to his house. I knocked on the door, my fist pounded against the wood. And then, he stood there in front of me. "What do you want?" Jimmy asked. "I have an envelope for you. It's from our friend." "All right," said Jimmy. "Do you want a drink?" "No, I'm good." I handed him the envelope, and I walked away. I got into my car and drove. I stopped at a parking lot, opened my door, and the vomit just came out. I lay in my car for hours. My cell rang. "Who is it?" "You know who it is," the voice on the other side said. But I didn't. "Meet me at the promenade," he said. "You and no one else." I follow orders. I always had. So I went, and I went alone. I waited there, staring at the river. It wasn't a pretty river, but it was soothing. I liked how it seemed to go on forever, with no beginning and no end. There was a gunshot, and then the body was laying there on the pavement. The face wasn't covered in blood, but it certainly wasn't without any. The sun was setting. This was his last sunset. My last sunset.